All right. Can you hear and or see me? Yay, okay. I will take that as a confirmation, and let's try this other thing. Awesome. Yes. Okay. I found it funny when I was rebooting Streamlabs, it came up and said praying to the streaming gods that all the settings are right, and I just had to laugh because no, they weren't right tonight. All right. Welcome from the blistering hot desert that is the Rocky Mountains. We just barely dipped under 100 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that, like 32, 33 Celsius? And I don't care what they say. It's a dry heat? No, it's hot. So anyway, glad that everyone could make it. Just want to have a huge shout out to the Anvilite Streamer Core. And right now we do have a lot of options out there for the last 24 hours. And especially the Zog Mad Dog. He is doing a 24-hour stream. And tomorrow morning I will actually be on his stream, and we will be talking, and that's what this 11:30 p.m. or in my case 5:30 a.m. stream is that I will be on Mad Dog and helping him out with his 24-hour stream. And also for calendaring, I have put all of my August streams up there where I will be doing morning sprints, my morning at 5:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. Pacific, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and then I will still continue to do the evenings during the week at the regular time. So double the streams, hopefully double the fun for everyone, and hopefully more people around the different time zones will be able to enjoy the work that we're doing here. So to start off, we are going to do a critique. So if you have a critique, if you have anything that you would like to talk about or ask me anything, in the chat for the lemons, I have created a new thing that's an Ask Me Anything, that's clean, for a single lemon. So for tonight, don't worry about the brainstorming for 100 or anything like that. If you want to ask me something, ask me a question that can help you get to your next goal, whatever that may be. Ask me anything. Please redeem the lemon, because then that puts that in a special queue so that I can actually see and read your questions to make sure that they don't get lost in a scrolling chat. So with that, let us jump here into Moonflower's. Okay, there we go. Zoom in. Let's go into Moonflower's article here and have a read. So please start queuing up any other critiques or anything that you would like to have talked about. And Moonflower was really nice. They said that they wanted to share the article that they were talking about all yesterday. So let's get into it. The Highland Goats, an all-purpose breed of goat. We sprinting leather. I got a lengthy article I'm working on. If we want sprints, we can do sprints. I have plenty of editing. I have plenty of editing to do. So if there's nobody who is in a queue when we're done with the Highland Goats, we'll do a 15-minute sprint, and then we will reevaluate, and if we can just keep doing sprints if that's what's most beneficial. I am being very flexible tonight. So, all right. Just a warning, I did this really early in the morning. Come on, that's when we all do our best work, right? At the crack of dawn, or whatever's before then. Highland goats are a type of medium-sized caprid native to the Doktok mountain range located in the north and west of the city of Helemia and Rathos. Hillen goats are common in their native area of the Dakoth mountain range and in Halemia. Okay, so they're native to this area, but then they're also common. I would probably just say I'm a midday flamingo, according to Nano. Okay, yeah, I am an early bird, and so I'm looking forward to getting into these early morning writing sprints. Okay, you're mentioning twice the Dotak mountain range and Halemia twice. I don't know if you need to repeat that information. I do like how you're saying that they're native to this region and they are also common in their native area, but that could probably be tightened up a little bit. Resources. This type of goat is raised for its milk, meat, and fiber. Its fleece can be of any natural color: black, brown, gray, tan, and white. But a dark gray is the most common color for the Hillen goats. The pure black color of goats obtained by certain breeders in Halemia makes for a highly prized fleece. Okay. Hillen goats are capable of producing nearly an entire 4 kilograms of milk each day in its 305-day lactation period. Okay. I don't know if milk is measured in kilograms. Would that be more of like 4 liters? And that's still a lot. I just, unless they measure things by mass as opposed to liquid volume. I'm not sure when it comes to goats, but usually with dairy cows, it was measured in kilograms. Huh. All right. That is, yeah. All I know about dairy is cows on Wikipedia. Wow, okay. Because Mr. Wikipedia is never wrong. I tell my kids to go look at Wikipedia to start their research. And he says, Dad, we can't use it. I'm saying, don't use it. Just go to the article, go to the bottom, look at the references, and then use those. And, anyway. Hillen goats are sheared twice a year, once in late spring and once in early autumn. Their fleeces are high quality yet inexpensive for those in Halemia to obtain. A single fleece of 3 kilograms is roughly worth 50 gold pieces in Halemia. Wow. I would probably, okay, let's deconstruct this sentence for a little bit here. Their fleeces are high quality yet inexpensive for those in Halemia to obtain. So let's talk about 50 gold pieces is around 25 USD. Okay. I'd go for that. I don't know if that's your exchange rate. Yeah. Okay. So talking about here, the subject of this sentence is their fleeces, and then yet inexpensive for those in Halemia to obtain. To obtain is the verb that's driving this sentence. So their fleeces to obtain is the tightest you could have this sentence. And so their fleeces, are high quality yet inexpensive, and for those in Halemia are each different phrases to be able to explain, to modify the sentence. I would probably move to obtain earlier in this sentence because that explains what you're trying to do, or the person is trying to do. They're trying to obtain fleeces. So, like, I would even say to obtain their high quality fleeces, because yet inexpensive. again, we're juggling the two ideas in the same sentence thing. Is their their fleeces are high quality yet inexpensive to obtain for those in Halemia. So probably just the switch, putting to obtain after inexpensive, but maybe even separating that sentence apart. But it's clear. But I think I think moving the verb earlier in the sentence would help make it a little more clear. A single fleece of 3 kilograms is worth roughly 50 gold pieces in Halemia. Yeah. Meat and hide. Although meat is not the primary resource gained from highland goats, many of the older goats are slaughtered just before winter's bitter cold takes hold of the land. These goat bodies are then used in full or sold by the owners. Straightforward, good. Hillland meat is not known to be particularly flavorful. It is often dried, salted, and seasoned with dill and garlic. Another common way to preserve and prepare the meat has the meat being smoked and seasoned with, again, dill and garlic. Okay. You say you have meat twice in here. I don't know. Is often dried, salted, seasoned with dill and garlic. Good. Another common way to preserve and prepare the meat is smoking it. I don't know. I would try to avoid having meat twice in the same sentence, but that I was putting and instead of or. Preserve or prepare the meat. Okay. Yeah. What does that taste like? Dill and garlic. Well, dill, I really like dill in my tuna fish. It's, when you have tuna fish salad, you mix your tuna with a little mayo, put some dill seasoning on it, it simulates a no, dill or garlic. Oh, not both. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Dill is the common flavor used for pickles. So, if you could imagine a lightly pickle flavoring in a beef jerky is probably what we're talking about there. So, hill goats are often found plentifully in the Dotok Mountains, but are also found elsewhere as they are prized for their milk and fleece. Okay. If this is long enough, great. I think you have a lot of good information in here. Very factual. I would want to know, you did talk about how they are raised for their milk, meat, and fiber, and they are highly prized. So I would like to know why. What situation made them well known and thus highly prized? Are the black fleece, the natural black fleece used for military purposes, royal purposes? Is there a special quality to the fleece or a special oil natural to these goats that make them particularly water resistant and thus good for winters? Like wool is really good for keeping you warm even if it's wet. Cotton is not. And that's why a lot of hiking clothing is better to have it be wool, because it's breathable, it can be wet and still provide warmth, where cotton, like your traditional Levi's or denim, is actually not very good for outdoorsman stuff. So, yeah, fun article. and learning more about goats. Okay, we have another article here from Galadan. Mouse. Oh, beautiful thing we got here. It's based off the Pygora goat, if you want to know the inspiration. Oh, okay. Where's the Pygora goat native to? Is it a specific... I don't know anything about goats, so if you could tell me that they were in my backyard and I couldn't tell you. Okay, so beautiful waterfall here. Treaty of the Summit. It's a hybrid of the pygmy goat and the Angora goat. Oh, Pygora. Oh, okay. Angora, I've heard of Angora wool before. Or something similar. Okay. All right, Galadan. The Treaty of the Summit. Basically, it's really soft. All right. From 3:55 to 3:57 a.m., the Second Climbing War raged throughout Anhara. The sides were very similar to the first, with the climbers pitted against the conservatives, and the future of the nation's the sides were very similar to the first, with the climbers pitted against the conservatives. I would put a period right there. The future of the nation's power structure was in the balance, because that way you would make that second dependent clause there into its own sentence and independent by the nation's power structure was in the balance. The climbers fought for the end of unfair legal preferences. Thank heavens it's Friday. That's all I'm going to say. The climbers fought for the end of unfair legal preference and powers for ancient but small noble houses, and the upkeep of Rhea Ilia's attempts to reform forest law. 14 bodies washed upon the shore of Lake Helen, victims of House Buckler. The Whistling Observer, 3:55 a.m. Age of Man, for those who are curious. It's like Common Era, Age of Man. Rhea Ilia, the High Priestess of Vestria, has attempted to wrest the control of Anhara's unique forestry law away from the ancient noble houses, many of whom had not held land or power since the gods walked the mortal plane. You know, I usually go against long sentences, but I think this may be an exception to the rule because you're still only trying to say one thing. Because you're talking about maybe not, the wresting the control of the forestry laws, and then the state of the houses, many of whom had not held land or power. Okay. Never mind. Fighting against this were the conservatives. However, their side did not consist purely of the ancient noble houses, as their wealth would be too little to put up much of a fight. Rather, those who saw a liberalization in Anhara's ancient laws as an eventual threat to their houses joined in. Of course, houses like House Aegis and House Osage, two of the original 9, also joined the conservatives, as they were the only founding houses to retain their power since the start. I figured out how to properly phrase the weird powers held by some of the old houses in a concise blurb. Also, I'm a big long sentence and comma guy in general. And you know what? That is that's a lot of style. And in my nonfiction, I am not a long sentence guy. Barbarossa, welcome, welcome. So anyone who's watched me more than 10 minutes knows I'm not a long sentence guy in nonfiction. In fiction, it just depends on the narrative voice that you're going for. So again, everything I say, take it with a grain of salt, but that's where I'm coming from. Okay, treaty. Now, the climbing war, you don't have the climbers fought. You tell what the climbers are, but why are they called climbers? Because they're trying to climb up the ranks of society, would be my guess. I like the name climbers. Social climbing, yes. I would if you could just insert that somewhere, because you say why they fought, but do they like that nickname? Is that a pejorative assigned to them by the conservatives as a derogatory term that was meant to belittle them? Because you could call what happened in 1776 as a war of revolution or a war of rebellion. It just depends on your point of view. Oh, Barbarossa, thank you much for the showcase. We'll get to that next. All right, so I'd just be curious to know how they became known as climbers and if they liked the name or not. Like the Boxers' Rebellion, they were named because they were boxers. I mean, pugilists, not an article of clothing. Okay. Treaty. The second climbing war came. With the second climbing war coming to an end after 2 bloody years, a number of changes came over on Hara's political and legal situation. The negotiations themselves were held in Meridia by the seemingly neutral Talon Ossus, soon to be Rhetorlord. Okay. I'm not sure why you need to use the word themselves. The negotiations were held in Meridia. Because I don't know why what you're trying to signify by using the word themselves. I could say that while the battle was in this place, the negotiations proper could be somewhere else, like the battlefield was France, but they did the treaty in Vienna or something like that. I feel this article doesn't flow super well because I haven't come up with a concise way to phrase the old houses have weird legal powers despite not being land-owning houses anymore, but only some. Okay, let's think about that. All right, everyone in the chat. Okay, we have this concept that old houses have weird legal powers despite not being land-owning houses anymore. What is a phrase that we could come up with that could be a more precise phrase in fewer words that can convey that thing or that idea? Because old houses, the systemically powerful, I hate the overuse of that word. in today's political structure, but it kind of works. Because they are still powerful, but only within a system. Because they're not powerful because they're powerful because they're of the system that has been established. It is a more concise word, though. The idea is there were 9 original houses, but some are no longer around, yet the law grants them rights over land despite not being powerful anymore. Yeah, and there's probably, and I believe another article, ideas for rephrasing would be appreciated here. Don't you have a law or something that reforms this afterwards? Or is that what we're talking about here? The legal changes? The unique power. Oh, the unique power of the old houses. Yeah, at the very end of this treaty, it kind of mentions it. Okay, while everyone is thinking about how to help phrase this for Galadan, I'm going to keep reading and see if, in the process of reading, if an idea comes up. Territorial Changes. The end result of this negotiation, the Treaty of the Summit, changed Anhara's map in a number of ways. Firstly, and most prominently, House Aegis lost half of their territory to House Buckler. The Bucklers were the first vassal house to rise up during the war, initiating military action in the West Marches and coming to be a leading force on the side of the climbers. Formerly entirely vassalized by House Aegis, the Bucklers had been growing in power for a long time, especially with their seat in Eighthport holding a monopoly over trade with Panag-Ro. I would avoid using 2 adverbs in a row because they're formerly vassalized, entirely vassalized. Both of those adverbs are modifying vassalized, and I'd probably just pick one or pick a different one that could provide the same connotation. Okay, House Buckler, because I'd probably get rid of entirely, because can a house be vassalized to 2 different places? I will warn you on mine, it's not complete. It's one I am happy with, though. All right, thanks for the warning. House Buckler was raised to the status of a major house granted by the Rhetor, and given control of territory in the West Marches. This consisted of the land east of Ellicott Creek until halfway across East Saginaw Bay, as well as land west of the creek until the border of Panag-Ro, and north from said border until the entrance to Lake Helen Basin. This includes all islands belonging to House Aegis south of Anhara, and effectively halved their territory. Okay. You dislike the run-ons in this part, but I'm trying to replicate the vague description. Well, no, the definition of a run-on sentence is when you have multiple independent clauses connected together for a very long time. This is a very long sentence, however, they are not all independent clauses. They are still dependent clauses. So the only thing that I have with this sentence is the effectively halved their territory. Because all of that is important information and it describes it all. So it's a stylistic choice whether you keep it in one sentence separated by commas or you move it into separate sentences. But to move it into separate sentences, you would have to have a verb inserted with each one, and for brevity, it might be better just to leave it as it is. However, the effectively have their territory, I would suggest that would be a separate sentence explaining it. This included all islands belonging to House Aegis south of Anhara and effectively have their territory. I would probably just say, I would just, after Anhara, and I wish I could, after that Anhara, I'd probably just put a period there and just say, all of these changes effectively halved the territory House Aegis controlled. So I may at times, and justifiably so, sound like a person who's on a crusade to kill anything longer than 5 words, but that's not true. I think a long sentence when needed is still needed. Okay. While this was the largest territorial shift, it was not the only. Okay, good. House Promenere. Kill the words! Off with their heads! I once had a short story that was like 100 words too long for the submission requirements. I had to chop 100 words out, and I was going through every if and but and adverb that I could think of to try to cut out a word to get 100 words out. Not one of my more favorite editing things. 1,500 words, no more or less. Oh, that is mean. That is mean. Okay. House Eton, another of the original noble houses, though much reduced since the founding, stayed neutral during the war owing to its difficult position surrounded by climbers. Despite this, they were forced through threats of war to guarantee the right of navigation on Lake Eton to House Moray and House Lyon, climbers and former vassals of theirs who broke free in the First Climbing War. Okay. My sister is getting her bachelor's degree and her professors are similar. I will never go back into higher education. Okay, legal changes. For too long have the reins of this nation been held by an ancient few. Soon new blood shall be given their due. Soon be assassinated, really. Soon to be assassinated. Yeah, there's a... Okay, Barbara. Oh. Okay. Yeah, soon to be assassinated. That's a great title. Raylia to the Rider Lord of Anhara. The modifications to the law sought by High Priestess Ilia before her untimely assassination were guaranteed through a vote of the rostrum, a provision included in the treaty. This required the legal owner of Anhara's primordial forest to be changed to whomever actively controls the land in the immediate area. This saved House Osage, a conservative, from any negative ramifications given their monopoly over the Verdant, but left all other primordial forests in Anhara over the control of their region's noble houses. But left all other primordial forces in Anhara under control? Is that... Dinosaur Bob, welcome! Okay, this part is... It's going well, but it's Friday night. It is such the weekend. This part relevant to the question about the concise phrase. Okay. We're trying to figure out a word, a way to concisely, more effectively describe the situation of these conservative houses, and a house that is powerful in law but not in practice because of their shrinking influence and size. And just trying to think of a better way to describe that situation more concisely. The changes ordered by the High Priestess to the punishments listed in the Book of Etiquette were also cemented by the rostrum and expanded upon to include punishments not only listed in the religious law, but in the civil law as well. This greatly reduced the fines as well as outlawing the death penalties for menial crimes. And then this beautiful map. Okay. I gotta say, these maps are just gorgeous. Oh, and this is a different version of the map because this is just... this is a political map as opposed to the topographical map that I've seen before. So we zoom? Oh, can't zoom out more than that. Okay. Yeah. Sable, go right. Now. Oh, Sable can stay. Okay. This reminds me of the Futurama episode where Fry became king of a planet. He eventually learned that each king rose by assassinating the previous one. When he learned his assassin's assassin had a place in the Hall of Kings, all he said was, "At least my assassin will get what's coming to him." I've never seen Futurama. Take away my nerd card if you must. So basically, houses no longer owning territory on the present map legally own... Okay, so houses no longer owning territory on that present map legally own the big forests. Yes, company is nice. Houses no longer... Okay. Let's break out the thesaurus. Powerless. Let's look for some synonyms to powerless. Okay. I hate all these ads, but... Oh yeah, we're getting serious here. Supine. The supine houses. What does supine mean? See definition of supine. It's an adjective lying on the back, face, or front upward, inactive, passive, or inert, especially from indolence and indifference. Form derived from verbs appearing only accusative and Okay, a simple infinitive. No, okay. The supine houses. They have legal power, but limited or no landholding power. Okay. Procumbent? Because an incumbent is the person who's in power. But incumbent is a procumbent? Laying on the face, prone, prostrate. I do like incumbent. The article of the map of those forests, if you're wondering. Man, I'm jealous of all these beautiful pictures y'all are finding. Oh, okay, these are all the forests. Nice. Okay. That would imply they lost their power through inaction. That's true. Well, that's a good question, Galadan. How did they lose their power? Are they, for the Merkmantle, for example, isn't legally owned by the house who holds the territory and controls the people around it? Okay, so there's the Merkmantle. And here it's House Eaton. Yeah, okay, so House Eaton controls the area, but it's not Eaton who actually controls that area. Various ways. Some are extinct, some are just irrelevant, not an all-at-once thing. Okay. Procumbent. I don't know why, but I like the word procumbent, but I also like supine as far as the synonyms for powerless. Well, let's go incumbent. I'm not even spelling that right. Oh, incumbent. Okay, bind incumbent is necessary, compelling, and urgent. Unnecessary. Because so Galadan, what I would recommend, and I would like this to be my last recommendation for this article, is that you would define your house statuses. You can use the word incumbent, meaning that they are the necessary and urgent houses. An incumbent house is one that has practical power, whereas a procumbent house is one that does not. And that way you could just define that once in your world, and then because incumbent is familiar with those who track politics and stuff like that, procumbent would be, I guess, assumed to be opposite. But that would be what I would use to talk about these, is that up here, or you would just say the climbers. Well, I have major and minor, so I suppose I just add dead or obsolete as a catch-all. Sure. Because, well, you could have a major house and a minor house, and that would probably just refer to its size and influence as opposed to its legal status. the incumbent and procumbent sounds more legalistic as opposed to practical. But again, that's an idea that I would have for that. But if you, yeah. But I do appreciate you being willing to discuss this with all of us, because you could actually have the climbers would call the conservatives procumbents as an insult, because it kind of is. Anyway. Yeah, you know it's serious when we break out the thesaurus. Beautiful maps. Beautiful maps. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back here and try to find the link from Barbarossa. That was your posture check. That was a... There we go. The hardest part about fantasy, pronunciations. The Treaty of Erdstadt. How was that one? Barbarossa, does that... yes, words are hard. Because sometimes I will find the coolest word, and it looks cool on a piece of paper, but I have no idea how to say it. And it was a word I made up, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. Coming up with the conlag is even worse. I haven't even attempted a conlag. No, thank you. If WorldAnvil has a conlag challenge, I believe they have before, but if they have another one, best of luck, everyone. You're on your own. Come on, I'm having a hard enough time with English. Why do I need to try to make up another language? All right. Turnian Belling, Field Marshal of the Dwyernan Imperial Army. This is not peace. This is a ceasefire. No side will come out happy from this document, and we will be in this room again in 50 years, or we will all be dead and gone. I don't know. I just felt like I had to be read that way. If you don't care to understand the theory of conlag, which I didn't. Oh, vulgar.com. Okay. That just felt like a quote that had to be yelled as best as my microphone could handle it without blowing out everybody's ears. The Treaty of Erdstadt of 1823 was a diplomatic agreement between the Kingdom of Duerna and the Empire of Grest during the Guerin-Grecian War of 1815. The agreement came hours after the righteous offensive started, quickly giving Duernan diplomats the advantage at the negotiation tables. The agreement was eventually signed after 3 days of arguments inside of a Grecian passenger rail car. The war ended 7 days later. Righteous offensive? Oh, okay. Cool. Though the agreement ended the conflict, the treatise itself was viewed with heavy disdain by the military leadership of both sides. Duerna was left economically devastated, and none of the land gains were honored by either side, leaving borders the same as before the war. That's funny. The purpose of the treaty was to end the already violent conflict between the Kingdom of Duerna and the Empire of Grest, which started in 1815 and continued for nearly 7 years. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, vulgar.com makes you mad. Like the concept, dislike the languages. Oh, some more links. Public reaction. The war is over. Peace between Dwerna and Grest. Nations rejoiced. Headlines of the Ardgut Journal, 1823. The initial public reception of the treaty was met with celebration through both nations. In the Dwernan city of Silba, an iconic heliograph was taken of a soldier kissing his comrade after being told the news of his cancelled deployment. In Ardgate, the bells of funerals stopped ringing for a whole day as priests overindulged in communion wine. In Gress, military parades were replaced with general celebration as people and confetti flooded the streets. However, many soldiers met the news with suspicion. After nearly 7 years of hard fighting, many refused to rise from the mountain trenches and cannonades set up for fear of being shot. Very, very nice description, and I think a very appropriate reaction. On the Grecian side, officers were not informed until less than an hour until it too affect leading the cancellation of troop movements. Okay, on the Grecian side, officers were not informed until less than an hour until it too affect leading the cancellation of troop movements. Yeah, that sentence needs to be reworked. Like on the Grecian side, officers were not informed until less than an hour before the scheduled ceasefire period. This led to the cancellation of troop movements until it came into effect. My phone must have broken. Okay. Because of the slow nature of communication, fighting continued and lives were lost up to the final minutes. St. Edgar Voss, a Grecian soldier, is considered the last casualty of war, having died 2 minutes after peace was made from a musket shot to the neck. Nice detail. Sad, but a nice detail that really brings the reality of war and all negative connotation thereof into light. That the lack of instant communication definitely has its negative toll. Treaty, diplomatic paper. Okay. Summer camp. Yeah. Good. Oh. Is this a picture from World War I? That looks like trench warfare. Yeah, that is a cool picture. All right. So I really didn't have a lot to say about that. Just a little bit of grammar things, but a good article, and I think it painted some evocative pictures, especially the story of the person who died. Actually, a model of trench warfare. Yeah. Well, if anyone else has a article that they would like to read, please go ahead and put that in the chat window. You can either redeem it as a showcase, or you can redeem it as an Ask Me Anything. Especially if you're stuck with a prompt idea and would like to brainstorm it more, feel free to put that in. Oh, wait. I'm waiting. No. Well, while I'm waiting, one thing, I have one you wanted to know. Okay. One thing I really liked about the Wonder Woman movie, directed by Patty Jenkins, was that the fact that it was set in World War One. Unfortunately, I think too many of our war movies that we have are set in, of course, World War II, Vietnam, and things like that. And it was kind of nice, as much as a war movie can be nice, to learn more about a a conflict such as World War One, which isn't as well known in the popular culture of modern cinema. So I did like the fact that it was a World War One movie instead of World War Two. And I shall hydrate. Okay. I hope everyone is getting the opportunity to write some stuff as we talk about other things. How's everyone? We do have. Oh, Saint Meve. Did you change your name spelling? That was your important religious figure, I believe. You're going to write an article about that with Saint Meve? That's because modern cinema is run by Americans, and I understand your history classes don't like to talk about any event in which you didn't have the starring role, or you can't paint it that way. Huh. Well, I don't know if I would agree with that assessment. I would just say that American history classes are just poor. Does anyone know? Oops, I didn't click it. Yep, I'm polishing an article that I might want to be critiqued. It's done, but I am unsure if it's okay. At the same time, I'm very proud of it. Hey, throw it in here. Let's do it. Yeah, I do think that American, the history classes in the United States could do a better job of learning world history. But I do still think it's important that you learn the history of your country so that you can understand the principles upon which it was founded. Because those who do not understand their history are doomed to repeat it. And yeah, America was a pretty Johnny-come-lately with World War One. I will agree with that. Okay. That's ooh, wow. Saint Meve the Druid. That's a cool picture. Is that another one of those that website that does the morphology thing? Okay, Black Maggot, we will put you in the queue. That is a cool. Don't mind me, I'm just having some Canadian pride, fun, and a friendly rivalry. Oh, no worries. I have some coworkers who are members of the CREA, which is the Canadian Real Estate Association, and when it's hockey season, we have good fun. Don't. My younger brother lived in British Columbia for a couple of years, and he actually learned all four verses to "O Canada." That was fun too. All right, Meve of Dwyrna. Or is it going to be Mave? With now that you have the AEVE, because I thought it was MEVE. Oh, Canada's anthem better than ours thanks to hockey games. Oh, Canada. That's all I know. Sorry. My internet cut out for like 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, Moonflower. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know hockey well enough. I I was born without a sports gene. Meave. The A is silent, apparently. All right, cool. Meave sat atop the craggy stones of the Liasbeg hills. Her arms rested against her knees, with eyes closed as a gentle breeze rolled over her. She smiled with warmth and luxem and glanced towards the man next to her. Her emerald eyes seemed to light up as she pushed herself to her bare feet and offered a hand. The man looked at her palm with confusion, but her coaxing voice answered, "Let us dance like we may never dance again." And they did just that till the sun set that evening. Hmm, that's fun. That's cute. Saintess Meve of Liasberg Forest, also known as Meve of Silba or Meve the Druid, is one of the Duerna's primeval spirits. She is associated with the Duernan autumn, the harvest and fertility, and is the patron saint of farmers, animals, travelers, transients, and the poor. Okay. Her feast day falls on Guldganacht near the time of the autumnal equinox. Yeah, that was a fun article we critiqued before. Mental characteristics, personal history. According to the legends, Meve was born as the daughters of the fairies and elves of Liesbeg Forest. Her form was discovered by a group of Galwinic people in the ruins of Liesberg Forest, wrapped in a bundle of leaves held together by tree sap and twine atop a bed of stonecrop and asters. Worried she may fall prey to the wolves and beasts of Liesberg Forest, the Galwinic people took her with them on their travels across Duarna. What do you mean her form was discovered? That's it's an interesting phrase. Um, instead of she was discovered, uh, her form was discovered, meaning she wasn't, but her body was. That it's an interesting phrase that I may not be understanding the full context of why you're saying her form as opposed to just her. Okay, all right. Throughout her youth, Maeve performed many miracles that garnered her worship and respect. In one tale, she performed a ritual which ended a plague afflicting the shepherds in Knocken na Bran. In another tale, she saved a farmer's field after it had become folly by placing her hands on the earth and whispering magical words. After it had become folly? I'm not sure if I'm understanding your intention of the word folly there. Maybe there's a different connotation and definition of that word that I'm not familiar with. Dead or afflicted. Okay. When she became an adult, she left her adoptive family of Galwinic people and built a home north of Lasbeg Forest, where two trade roads crossed. Some say it was to be close to her actual parents, while others believe it was to help people since the roads were constantly traveled on. Whatever the reason, Maeve became an icon of the region, and followers began to build their homes around her, which formed the city of Silba. Eventually, she simple shack became a provisional meeting hall and a place of worship. I'm not sure what positional, but eventually her simple shack, would it be her instead of she, possibly? She continued to perform miracles well into her old age, but eventually left the mortal plane. Some claim she ascended on great wheat stalks, while others say she was buried, which became the fields of wheat that surrounded Silba. I would split that up. Some claim she ascended on great wheat stalks, period. Others say she was buried in a place which became the fields of wheat that surrounded Silba. Something like that. Sad world building noises. Oh, hey, you type wherever you can. Any word. I mean, that's why until the advent of manuscripts, I did all of my work on Google Docs because I could use it on my phone. So, in older tales, she returned to Liesbeg Forest and disappeared, never to be seen again. I do like you have three alternatives here: accomplishments and achievements. Saint Meve, looky here, a neck for you and your kin. The cry of the neck. Due to her nature as a primeval spirit, many of her accomplishments are viewed as legends and stories, with very little proof of their happenings. She is known to have created the city of Silba, where her temple still stands today, as well as the creation of Guldgenacht, which acts as her feast day. Yeah, that's a fun article. Cool. All right, next please refresh. Okay, like maggot. I'll just hit the fresh one more time. Creed of Liars. Interesting. Oh, wow. A lot of details here. Glad to help. I'd say Mr. Greg was my father, but that wasn't his name. Sorry. It just, I'm older than the age I thought my when I thought my father was old. I'm older than that age now. You can thank the U.S. Constitution for help with this article. Ooh, cool. Now you really want me to read it, making me want to read it. But you calling it the Creed of Liars is based on the Constitution? I don't know. Don't make me get all political here because I don't want to. All right, the Creed of Liars is a contract created by the first four Choro in the year of 451 IA. What does IA mean? I like to know the name, like with The previous one, first stage. Oh, okay. It was formed as a method to bind Hupta Rath Anker, Orno names, Negwali Voronon, and Zelekia Wasahil into keeping the truth of their existence and their true power of the people a secret. Okay, it was formed as a method to bind them into keeping the truth of their existence and the truth of their existence and the true power of their people a secret. Okay, so the true power of their people, the truth of their existence, okay. It was formed as a method to bind them into keeping the truth of their existence and the true power of their people a secret. Okay. While it was never officially named, Zulekia gave it its moniker. She also kept the moniker in the document she hid in an underground grotto. History. The creed came into being at a time when the faitheth, paranoid xenophobes, the faitheth were at their highest in ability and might. It was created to keep that power with the royal houses, as there was a fear among 3 of the 4 signatories that their people would possibly become powerful enough to demand for democracy instead of absolute monarchy. Thank you, AJ. Ugh. Okay. It was created to keep that power with the royal houses. Okay. As there was a fear among 3 of the 4 signatories that their people would possibly become powerful enough to demand for democracy instead of absolute monarchy. Okay. Long sentence, but yeah. You have, again, multiple ideas in the same sentence that I would probably break up. Drafting. The first draft of the Creed came into being as a mock-up. At this time, the Creed primarily consisted of personal fears, intentions, and ideas the 4 companions had. Several concepts in the mock-up Creed included the entire lineage of faitheth royalty will be aware of the truth. If a member of the lineage were to speak the truth to commoners, they will be executed without prejudice. Execution for the lineages will consist of assassination. Ooh. If by some chance a commoner if by some chance a commoner was to learn the truth, they will be executed on the spot. If there are queries, this act shall be announced to the common people as high treason. A house will not speak out and tell the truth. If there are queries, meaning if people begin to investigate the existence of this document, the document will be considered high treason. Private paper, the Washiel conspiracy. Okay. Final creed. For the final creed, no, if people question why the person was executed. Oh. Oh, okay. Then I would probably, if there are queries about the assassinations or something that yeah, okay. that makes more sense, because I wasn't queries didn't have a word associated with it. It was just kind of dangling there. So, um, well, what kind of query? So, but that makes sense. I would probably add that in there. But the choice of assassination as means of execution is a very intriguing choice, because, um, just because, make it look like an accident. I think that's a very intriguing way to do it, and adds a flavor all of its own. So I do like that. I do like that. Okay, for the final creed, several of the concepts given by Zeleukia were inevitably shot down by popular vote. She was cajoled into agreeing to the creed's final concepts by none other than her close friend, Upta. However, he gave her a quiet promise on his honor, as Tenka, that several her ideas would be honored. Okay, so we do have drafting, history, drafting. Okay, houses shall abide by the creed. Good job on the fonts. I gotta say, good job on the fonts. This ascribes to the agreement that the houses will firmly abide by the creed by their own will. Before they ascend to leadership, every person in the line must be head of their house, will swear before their previous sovereign that they will abide by the creed. Before they ascend to leadership, every person in line to be head of their house will swear before their previous sovereign that they will abide the creed. Every person in line. There. Okay, every person in line to be will swear before their. Okay. The houses shall hold the creed above all else. This ascribes the agreement that the houses will and must kill their own family members and close companions if the creed is breached. Dang. A house member told the truth shall not speak the truth. This explains that if a member of the houses were to speak publicly of the truth, or were to tell another, regardless if they are also a member of the house, they will be executed on the account of high treason. Okay, so I guess a question is, then who tells them about the creed? If you're forbidden to tell the creed even to people in your house, who tells them? Is it like only the king can tell the heir apparent, and that's the only exception to the no taki rule? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you already addressed that later. Sorry. This explains all possible ways the creed may be amended, be they intentional or not. Instead, it will remain untouched in the Sun Palace. Shall not be amended. This explains that if a rare situation was to arise in which there was no firstborn child, the next person in line for the throne by birthright will be told the truth. This is done regardless if the person is of the main branch or not. It also states the person or child must be competent and mature enough to be told. Otherwise, the truth will be told to the next person in line. Furthermore, the person who knows the truth cannot die before the truth is passed down. who does the telling? Because, like, the person who knows the truth cannot die before the truth is passed down. Well, how can you enforce that? Well, yeah, I understand it's a line of succession, but accidents happen. I mean, kings in battle fall, and they have a young heir who wasn't ready for it. Then, who would say you had a Lion King? Okay, you have Mufasa, Simba, and then Uncle Scar. So Mufasa knows the truth. Simba doesn't because Simba's too young. Well, Mufasa dies. Who would tell Scar the truth? Would be my question in that situation. Um, the king of the hyenas, the king from another kingdom would come over and say, "Listen, yep, it's meant to be a warning. The ellipses are indicate that I have more." Oh, okay. All right. Zelikia's betrayal. Despite her verbal agreement and blood oath to keep the creed, Zelikia was unable to do so as time went on. She saw the disintegration of her people's power, their ignorance, and control of their minds, the control of their minds the Rath Anakir dynasty held over them. Sorry. Broken-hearted, she created the Toan scrolls and hid them far from the Sun Palace with the hopes that someone in her family, or even anyone, would learn the truth and stand up against the house of Rathankir. Rushdie's betrayal. Yiyai, the child of the house of Wasil, who inherited the truth, told the location of where the scrolls could be found to Rusty Farrar and the young Igni around 5262A. Okay, second age. Despite this, she did not tell where the scroll's exact location was. In a way, this kept her from directly breaching the creed. Are we talking about the Toan scrolls in this paragraph? Okay, yeah, okay. The Toan scrolls were discovered. This inevitably led to Rushdie betraying Queen Zainab Rath Ankir and waging war against her. Yeah, the scrolls, okay. The creed was written on stone paper and is currently held in a chamber within the Sun Palace. It is the only item located within this chamber, but not a single member of the royal family are allowed to look at it. The words of the creed are passed down orally. After the lies of the traitors' war, whispers have arisen if the creed has existed at all. Who's doing the whispering? Because, I mean, okay, so we have the creed. Let's go back up. The Creed of Liars, a contract, the first four of their existence and true power of their people a secret. She also, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, the truth was discovered after the lies of the traitors' war to Oh, so everyone knew the truth afterwards. Going back to the top here, I understand the rules of the truth and that, but maybe I'm misunderstanding what the truth in context actually means. The truth of their existence, meaning the four people's existence. The first the original creations of the Oversoul. Oops. Oh, no, I didn't want that. And the true power of their people a secret. The people did not know they were creations of the Oversoul. Is Oversoul a deity or a prime deity in this world? Okay, a deity. All right. So the contract is to make sure that nobody finds out that the four heads of the households, the four heads of individual households, were actually creations of deity. No one should know about their existence or their true power. Okay. Okay. But you're saying that during the Lies of the Traitor Wars, uh, everybody okay, so but after this Traitors War, everybody knew about it. Everybody knew that they were everybody knew that they were what they actually were, among other things. Okay, they learned many other things. Yeah, really. Yeah, this is a really good article. Um, I'm missing the connection to the Constitution of the United States. um, because I do find it interesting here. It was helpful. Okay, sure. I do find it interesting that the words of the Creator passed down orally, and because that does allow for interpretation and deviation from the original context or to the document. That's why written documents are so important. But if nobody's allowed to look at it, there's no real way to know. Yep. Okay, if that's intentional, that's good. All right. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, how's everyone doing out there? That was a fun article. Does anyone else? Oh, thank you. Glad to help. Glad to help. Uh, all right. Look, I'm just taking a look at the help request queue. Looks like we have all of those taken care of. Now, we do have a little while longer to go. We could, I have some writing, I could do some writing sprints. I have some edits that I need to be working on, or we could work on, unless someone else has a article that they would like to have showcased. Okay. Well, I'm just going to show a little bit of and I'm going to show a little bit of the things that I've been working on. That, and we can we can all just work on our own things for the rest of the stream, and I can show some of the things I've been working on, and that is in my Trello boards. The Trello boards that I have here are like this one. One thing I was working on a lot is what am I going to do now? I have all these prompts. I've written all of these prompts. What is next? Well, what is next is I have this Trello board here, and I have created a index card for everything that I'm currently working on, and I have the different different ideas, and this is where I put my fiction ideas, or for stories, or for short stories, or for novels, and this is what I'm going to be working on my Saturday weekend workshops, and it will be planning and building these things out. And then also, when I do my early morning sprints, this is what I will be writing: is all of these different stories. And the evening edits will, of course, be editing. And so, for example, I created this thing called the Queen's Nightmare. And what what I have here is the the Queen's Nightmare. And as much as I say I want to stay away from movies that Disney has done, um, I still want to do Sleeping Beauty because I came up with an idea that intrigued me so much, and that was my basis of a NaNoWrimo novel that, even though I got 52,000 words, I never actually finished. And a lot of the writing that I did that month just turned into random brainstorming. So I do want to write it. And one thing that many people recommend is that you should write short stories to advertise for your novels. And what that means is you have your novel for sale, Amazon, 99 cents or 2.99 or whatever, if independently published, but you can share for free short stories. And so what I wanted to do is write a short story called The Queen's Nightmare. And I love the idea of telling a story from a person who has nothing to do with the original story as a main character. I seriously doubt that there is a version of the Sleeping Beauty told from the point of view of her mother. And that's what this is a how would I write a 5,000 word short story of Sleeping Beauty from the point of her mother. But this would be a prequel story, meaning the story ends when she falls asleep, because that's the nightmare. And so it wouldn't, it, because a short story is not always the full story. It is an exciting segment of the story. So what I have here is, first I have my checklist. I analyze the fairy tale itself, its characters, and then I come up with some new ideas for brainstorming. Then I do my preparation, where I integrate it into Sagadorm, which is my world. I develop the characters, meaning I create a character article for them in WorldAnvil. And like if I go to WorldAnvil, oh, gotta shrink that up here a little bit. I go to, not player characters. Let's see. Characters. And where's Queen? Is it Caroline? Nope, it's not Queen Caroline. It's not Henrik. Atlantique. Okay, here she is. So here is my article for Queen Atlantique of Ile-de-Vent. And this is Sleeping Beauty's mother. And so I have this article stub here that I will, when I get more information about here, I will fill it out. And then, of course, her husband, King Geoffrey of Ile-de-Vent. And I will fill out the articles of it. Then I talk about, are there any groups that are involved? Then I plot the story, location, and scene sequel. And I'm a big fan of the scene sequel development. If you go to advanced fiction writing scene sequel, if you just Google that, yeah, writing the perfect scene. And let me just copy that and paste that into the chat window, because I really like this article and the way it teaches you how to write a scene, because you can have a cool overarching storyline or plot structure, but unless you know how to write a scene that is engaging and will get a person through the scene, through the chapter, to and keep them engaged throughout, you're not going to have a very good story, because people won't wait for it to get good. People will turn on and run the water so it will get cold. They will not read the story until it gets interesting, unless it was assigned to them by an English teacher. And then if it's one of those books, it may never get interesting. But this is something that I try to follow. And then, of course, then I get in my drafting, my editing, where I do at least 5 or 6 rounds of edits. So each time I go through and I do my development edits through the whole story, that's 1 round. And then I check it off for each of these things. And so this is what I'm going to be working on in the writing streams in the coming month and Preptober. I do have an empty card here for NaNoWrimo, and it looks very similar. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. That'll be interesting. So, yeah. Well, it's Friday night. It's, I don't know if I want to get into another thing for just a couple of minutes here. I'd like to. What genre do you write, Norm? Okay, I write traditionally clean fantasy. I'm primarily focusing on what I call new adult, which is like young adult but slightly older, because the new adult audience, the characters of a new adult audience are usually of legal age for their society, but not much older than that. And I don't want to write about a bunch of teenagers, because I don't think that teenagers really have the maturity to deal with some of the situations, although the clean situations, but the situations I would like to see them in. And so I write what I call new adult instead of young adult. I do fantasy. They're mostly action adventure driven, though I may this one that I have here called, oh, where is it? The Czar's Obligation, right there. Oh, it's not supposed to be a 2, it's supposed to be a 1. That is actually going to be a romance. Never written a romance before. I thought it might be fun to try it. So that might be my NaNoWrimo novel. I'm not sure, but again, all of these stories are in Sagadorm, and you can have a romantic fantasy, you can have an adventure fantasy, you can have any kind of subgenre on it. So I want to, when I mean clean, I just want it to have as wide of an audience as possible. I don't write for children, but I want to write in a manner that if a child picked it up and started reading it, it wouldn't freak a parent out. To my great disdain, I have found that most of my stories have strong romance elements. Clean work is okay. Thank you. Well, see, yeah, and that's a good point. You can have romantic elements without it being a romance. A romance, it means that there must be a happily ever after or a happy for now at the end of the story. If and some of my romance writing friends, if you don't have a happy ending or end with a wedding, it's not a romance. So that is one of the arguments that they have, but it's all good. So yeah, like I said, it's Friday night. I'm really happy that for any help that I could do that. Yes, exactly. I do want to remind you that Zog Mad Dog is doing his 24-hour stream. You read a lot of romance. I've really enjoyed some of these billionaire romance. A friend of mine wrote a 4-book series of billionaire romance. It was a clean, sweet romance, and yeah, it was good. I mean, what can I say? A good story is a good story, and I really don't want to get caught up on, oh, I can't like that. That's a chick lit. No, if people shun a good story because of its genre, you shouldn't. Okay, let me get off my high horse. But you really need to enjoy a good story because it's a good story. Okay, so anyway, I will be a guest of Zog Mad Dog's host 24-hour stream tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. Pacific, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. It is Saturday morning, so I hope that everyone has an opportunity to come on in and join us as we talk about heaven knows what. I have found LGBTQ romance cozy mysteries. They are awesome. A mix of all my favorite genres. How fun! There is a cozy mystery. There's a new subgenre called brosy mysteries. It means a broader cozy, which means instead of a cozy mystery, meaning it's a person who's an amateur sleuth that usually involves recipes or other homemaking skills, like Murder, She Wrote. There's a genre trying to break out called the brosy for the broader cozy. So probably your LGBTQ probably would fit in that as well. Yeah. Yeah, I see. I don't want to get stuck. One thing about self-publishing, and I most likely will either self-publish or give away all my stories for free, or on a Patreon basis, is that I don't want to get stuck in a single genre. Because if I want to write a romance, I will. If I want to write an adventure, I will. If I want to write high fantasy or low fantasy or whatever, I will. I I'm doing this for fun. 10 years ago, I really got into writing, but then I got into being obsessed with making money and becoming an author and replacing my day job. And I burnt out. And I stopped writing for like 6, 7, 8 years, and amongst other things. Um, this time around, I'm doing this for fun. And I am just going to have fun writing and building a community. And if I never make a dime from it, I'll still be happy, and my kids can read my kids and my grandkids will be able to read my stories. And if that's the only people that do it, hey, that is. And hopefully, I'll help some people along the road. That's why doing this, being creative without a safety net, I think is my unofficial title for my Twitch stream, is because I want to do stuff that is fun and creative and doesn't mean I'm good at it. It just means I want to do it. So, yeah, let's have fun doing this. Summer camp is awesome. I look forward to... Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Maddie Too Bad. Thank you so much. Hopefully my diatribe right there just helped you push that heart button. Yeah, so hopefully if there's anybody I can help along the way in their writing journey, and you can help me along mine, let's do this. You know, if I am helpful and I've earned your favorite or your like, I appreciate it very much. So with that, let us start thinking about a raid. I probably will send over to let's see, raid Zog Mad Dog. Let's see if that... I don't usually... Oh, yep, that's working. All right, saw your post on Parler that you were going live, and I thought I would check out your stream. I do some writing too. Maddie, thank you so much for finding me on Parler. I'm very happy to be over there and not in another place, as you can see from the icons down there at the bottom. Feel free to come by. I'll be here. You'll see my schedule below. I'll be here almost every morning and every evening through the month. So glad that you're able to come by. And if you have any questions, feel free. But it is late, and I have a very early stream in the morning, and it's Friday night. So I'm going to go spend time with my kids and wife. So thank you so much, and have a great night, everybody. Thanks.